Okay, so our speaker is back,
Sorry,
and yes,
sorry,
oh,
you've got a big clash then of glass.
okay. Ooh, super organized. There is a mat there in the background. So yeah, very excited how this is going to work out online. It's my pleasure to introduce Deborah Brown. So she's been with Hove StressBusters pretty much for 8 years now, and given quite a few talks. This is your premiere online.
Wow.
So Debbie is a biodynamic craniosacral therapist and also a TRE facilitator. Are you a trainer as well?
I'm in the process of training as a trainer, yes.
As a TRE. So she's sort of one of the most experienced TRE facilitators, certainly in our part of the country, in Sussex. And TRE, stress and trauma release exercise. This is what we're going to find out in a moment. And Debbie also completes her work with the body and the trauma with brain spotting, which is another technique that we had a chance to learn about at previous Hove StressBusters events. So this evening, Debbie is going to introduce us to a method of shaking off the stress. So please.
Thank you, Jelena. Thank you. So welcome. This is the first time I've done anything online at night, and the light's changing. So just practically, feedback to me if you can't see. I've got an extra light here that I can use, but yeah, give me feedback on that. And also, I'm quite new to working in this space, so I'm not sure how my voice will carry. I think I've done quite a lot of groups online, TRE groups. So should be okay, but just give me a little bit of feedback if you need me to up my voice. And also, I apologise. We're very much all about social engagement in this world, and community and social contact. And I have glasses that are just glaring at the moment, so I can't really see you probably can't see my eyes, but they're there. Okay, and yeah, internet as always. I think I've been pretty good with internet, but in the evenings with not working, it tends to be used a lot. So if there is an issue, I will be back. I can go to another room and reconnect. So, okay, so yeah, it's lovely to be here in such uncertain conditions, with new faces, meeting a new group, and all of us having things happening in our nervous systems and our bodies right now. And I'm curious to explore that a little bit, moving on from Julie's talk, which was an absolutely wonderful fit to what I hope to share with you about TRE this evening. And you covered a lot.
It always is, isn't
Julie.
it?
It always is.
I select them to be different, but it's always this kind of overlap.
And you mentioned some wonderful words there on that last slide, things like choice, resource, resilience, embodiment, connection to self, and from that place we can then connect to others and the world in a different way. So it just fits beautifully what you said, and there were so many words there that really spoke to me and felt really authentic and yeah, and often words that I think we aspire to being in a certain state, don't we? There's this wanting to be there. And I loved what you said, Julie, about just feeling from the body and feeling from the heart about what we truly need. And things have a different perspective and take on a much softer, more fluidic approach to meeting what we need, rather than a structured, I must do this. So, yeah, thank you. I really, really enjoyed your talk. So, yeah, Jelena's mentioned what I do. My journey really with meeting my own body came when I started my cranial training, which was about 16 years ago now. And I came from business. I was a manager. I had no idea. I think I'd had maybe one massage before, and that was my experience of meeting my body. And yeah, the journey through my cranial work really started to bring me inwards, and starting to map and understand my inner framework and my inner landscape, all the complexity that it is. And most importantly, in relation to this work, my neurophysiology, so how my nervous system affected my physicality, my behaviours, my thoughts, so on and so forth. And I really thought I was in my body until I found TRE. And that was like landing deeper and deeper into this wonderful world of flesh and fire. And it's been a continuing journey, and I guess that's what we call groundedness. So there's a big buzzword, embodiment. Julie mentioned it, and embodiment, really, what is that? Having a presence in our physical self, the fact that we know that we're here. And that is a whole continuum, what it's like to be grounded. So it's not like I'm here, I'm not here. It can kind of move very fluidically through each day. We can move through different states, more dissociative, withdrawn. When things are just too much, we kind of numb out in some way. It's also where addictions live often. And then there's the more fight, flight, the more doing energy, the more mobilizing energy within us. And the more we can learn to track that state of our system at any one time and observe it, we then have, as Julie said, we have choice. So it's creating a space where we can observe and notice. We don't even need to sometimes try to fix it. It's just noticing. And in that space, there's a choice. So we maybe explore that a little bit within ourselves, just by noticing, how do we know we're in our bodies right now? Yeah. So my journey's been quite a long one, and it still continues. It's not like, wow, yeah, I'm in my body. I leave my body regularly, believe me, I'm human. And this is the way our nervous system responds. Fight, flight, freeze, you may have heard of, is often governed by early experiences, again going on from previous Julie's talk around our ancestors. You might have heard of epigenetics. All of the factors that bring us into the present have impacted our nervous system, and we're often conditioned by those early experiences. They form the lens through which our nervous system responds. However, we're all human, yeah, so we all do this, we just do it in different ways. And it's important, I think, to know that we're not mad, bad or broken, we're simply human beings. And the condition of being human is that we have a nervous system that is there to keep us alive. We're here, we've survived, and we will carry on to survive. We wouldn't, without these sort of primitive strategies or primitive defense or survival strategies, the human species wouldn't be here. So thank our bodies, thank ourselves for here we are on the 6th of May at what time? 20 to 9, having a conversation about what each of us share. So it's nice to give a bit of gratitude, I think, sometimes for what this vehicle has done for us. So yeah, I'm really passionate about shaking. That's my world. It's a good thing to talk about at a dinner party. Yeah, what do you do for a living? I teach people to shake. It often pricks up a few ears. So I'm just interested to know. I know we've got quite a lot of people that aren't on video, and that's absolutely okay. I'm just interested to know who's heard of TRE before. So maybe if you've got your camera blocked out, just send a yes or a no on chat. That would be good. Send it to everyone. So for those people that I can see, we've got quite a lot of, yeah. So yeah, everybody, great. Let's see if there's anything coming through. And who's actually tried TRE before? Again, wow, this is wonderful. This is how cranial went. When I first started talking about cranial, very few people had heard about it. Now, I would say a good percentage of the population have heard about cranial. TRE is kind of getting there. I think when I did this first talk, it was very minimal, but with the show of hands, and there's a few comments coming through. Someone's done a couple of shaking sessions. Ali, thank you. Great. So for those of you that have done TRE before, any comments, any thoughts around what it might be or be about? Let's see if anything comes through. And you can just unmute yourself to speak.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, I've done a couple of shakes, and at first I found it quite scary, but afterwards my body just felt so good. My mind felt good. I felt, whenever I shake, I always feel really thirsty. It's like all the toxins coming out of my body. Yeah, I think it's been really, really good for me. Brilliant.
Great. And you mentioned scary. What can you remember back to that first shake and maybe what that was about?
Well, it was so involuntary, and yeah, I didn't realise how much tension I had in my body. So I think I didn't really understand, I think, when I first went, what it meant. I was very curious, and if I'm honest, I thought I'd go and nothing would happen, but it did. So yeah, for me it's quite a powerful experience, and I've encouraged loads of people to go and try your classes, and anyone that has just fed back about how brilliant it is. So yeah, really good.
Great. So a little bit of, maybe you mentioned it was quite strong and involuntary. So involuntary is one thing here, in the sense that the tremors come through the body. We're not standing and doing this. Yeah, we're not voluntarily doing a movement. It's something that comes through from within us. And there's some reverb going on with the sound. That's better. No, maybe it's mine. Mash, could you just go on mute? Yeah, and just see. Thank you. That's better. Great. Yeah, so it's weird. I often hear like weirdly enjoyable is a phrase. We usually get one or two weirds in every class. It goes without saying, because we're not used to our body speaking and showing us what it needs. We're used to being more governed by the mind, the neocortex, upper part of the brain, the human part of the brain. But I love the word you used, curious, and this is a great word in TRE, to just be curious, notice, feel okay with what you're experiencing, and explore, be curious, be playful. Just listening to the body, that's what it's about, the wisdom of the body. It has an incredible story to tell that we'd never really get to from the thinking part of the brain. And initially when we start, it is about feeling safe. And a lot of us, when we've had trauma, being in the body is quite a challenging place to be. It can be a very scary place for some people. So we want to do that gently and in a way that we create an embodied sense of safety. So we go slow, and it's a little bit like finding your own dose. So initially, if it's something that you're not sure of, then you might want to stop. And that's what we call self-regulation. So if we're in our body and we're listening to our body, or listening to what's there, it might be a thought, it might be a feeling, it's just starting to get a sense of, is this okay? Is this okay right now? Yes, it's weird, but is it okay? And that's what we call self-regulation in TRE. Yeah, so it's a great analogy of a Coke bottle. Babette Rothschild, I think it is, where if you think of a bottle of Coke that's been really shaken up, it's quite explosive. Yeah. So what we want to do is get really skilled. We wouldn't want to take the top off in one go. It can get really messy, sticky, takes ages to clean up, years of psychotherapy. What we want to do is just get really skillful and just let the fizz out and close. So you're in control. Yeah, you can stop at any time, but it's about really being aware, really listening to your needs. And if something moves from maybe feeling okay to not sure, moving from green light, everything's good, amber comes in, you want to take a break. So that's the key, one of the key principles of TRE is the self-regulation. So although it feels a bit weird, most people actually, I don't know if I'm getting from what you said, Masha, that it actually feels okay. It feels, it's a good thing afterwards. It just feels a bit weird initially. Yeah, great, thank you for that.
Yeah, I felt it was almost funny, just bizarre. Kind of not unpleasant, but just funny.
Yeah, different experiences. We've got someone, and Anita's had to go, sends her apologies. She says, for a while it released a lot of old trauma. Now my body shakes to move in motion. So she says thank you to everyone. Sorry she had to go. And her body also started shaking naturally, but she's never called it TRE. Wow. Okay, so we'll come to that. That's a good lead into the next section. I'm just looking. Christina said, "Can it be compared to dancing in a natural, wild manner, like with 5 rhythms?" Yes, it can, but there's this balance between what's voluntary and what comes through the body. So from my understanding of 5 rhythms, for those of you that practice, it gets to a point that you're not quite sure what's what. Yeah, are you moving through the music? Is your body moving through the music, with the music? Or how much of that are you doing? So if you try TRE, you'll realize that it's very much involuntary, but quite often that the conversation that goes on at the beginning is, am I doing this? Quite interesting, the I there. Is the ego doing it? Is the conscious mind doing it? Or is something else doing it? So of course you're doing it, but it's a tremor reflex that's in the body that the tension releasing exercises, TRE, tension releasing exercises, retrains. And it's a shaking reflex that we all have as mammals. Every mammal has it. It's just as human beings, we've learned to suppress it. Partly because of the way our brains developed, and partly because it's not acceptable. So it's a society thing. So let's have a look at what shaking looks like involuntarily. So Yelena's going to bring up a video. Just to give you a little bit of background to this. So firstly, ignore the comments of, I take it they're in it's a group on Safari, and they're wondering what's going on. And it's kind of quite annoying commentary. So just ignore that. They think it's the lion's having a seizure or some kind of fit. Yeah.
Shall I turn off the sound, or shall we still listen to it?
Yeah, turn off the sound actually. No, leave it on, Yelena. Sorry, I'm feeling indecisive. It just gives you a little bit of more of a, I don't know, a bit more of context.
I think it illustrates the stress of the situation.
Yeah, and also how unusual it is to see an animal doing this in the wild. This is a beautiful clip for the TRE community. And just a bit of a background, this is an unsuccessful hunt. So the lion's been chasing a wildebeest. We join the footage just after that. And you'll see 2 things. It checks for safety. So it orients, it looks around, scans around its environment. And once it knows it's safe, it can then release. So it's the meeting of the safety that helps discharge. This is what shaking is. It's discharging the energy from the fight-flight response. Okay, so if you think of all the energy that's involved in a hunt, it's all that glucose going to the muscles, the quick breath, the pounding of the heart, all the adrenaline and the chemicals that are involved. And what shaking does is release that so that the lion can return to a state of balance again, so its nervous system is settled. So let's have a look at this. It's only a minute long.
Well, you there he is. Be quick with your up windows if you need to. This is awesome. It was.
Okay, don't move, Damien. I'm videotaping.
Oh, right, sorry. Why is he so agitated?
What can he be scared of?
Nice digging, nice scratching. He's got indigestion. Look.
Got ticks on him.
What the hell was that? He's having an epileptic fit. I wonder if he's eating something odd.
Yeah,
What is he up
put
to?
the volume off.
He's shaking.
Yeah.
Look at him shake. He does look.
So there's a point where you can see his diaphragm release. Might have actually passed it. Here we go. Here's the diaphragm going to start coming back online here. There we go. Can you see that big deep breath? So what the line will do now is it will go and rest and return to normal. So animals don't carry around past experiences like we do. What happens in human beings is it gets trapped in our nervous system and we respond in a way that isn't necessarily appropriate to the situation. And we probably all know that. Yeah, our nervous system thinks our body sense tells us that we're in danger or there's a threat in the environment, and our fight, flight, freeze response, our stress response will kick in, often when we're very safe. Okay, so any comments on that? Any thoughts? What is shaking? So we have this within us, and the tension releasing exercises help us bring it back online. So there are a set of 7 exercises that you don't need to do. It's not like a yoga practice or a routine that you have to do for the rest of your life. It's simply to retrain the reflex. And when you've got it, it stays with you. Okay, so how amazing. We have something in us that switches off those survival responses. And that's quite incredible, right? So when you think, when we're in our stress response, things like, or you could say, let's say we're running from a tiger, the systems of the body we don't need shut down. So they're things like our digestion. So you think of the amount of digestive problems and IBS that we have nowadays. Our immune system shuts down. So our growth and repair, our reproduction, and some drives, things like our sex drive, our appetite, our sleep are all affected. So when we switch off the stress response, which shaking does, those systems start to function again. And if we think from more of a mental health, if you tend to be a little bit more flighty, that tends to be quite anxious, panic attacks, irritability, worry maybe actually, and a bit more fighty is more sort of an anger tone. And so rage might be that really high flight response, or an emotional correlate, should we say. And then when it gets too much, that's when we disappear. Yeah, it's too much, I'm out of here. So there might be things like our addictions, our chronic fatigue, that kind of conditions live there, depression, numbing behaviors, that kind of thing. So imagine if we've got something in us, as well as those wonderful things that have kept us alive all this time, we've also got an ability to switch off. And nature would tell us it's that intelligent to give us that, right? If it's going to give us all this stuff, it gives us something to release it. And that's what you just saw the lion do there. So stressful day, lots happening, lots of charge, and we go home and have a shake. And it just resets our nervous system. And the most wonderful thing is, the more you practice this, you actually change the parts of your neurology in your brain that are scanning for danger. Yeah, so when we're looking for danger, it's like a smoke detector in a house that becomes, when we've had a lot of stress or trauma, or it's been switched on a lot, it starts to go off at the slightest bit of burnt oil or hot oil toast. Yeah, so it's disproportional to what's actually happening in life. The house isn't on fire. So we have this oversensitive, it's called the amygdala. It's like our smoke detector that detects from the outside, but predominantly from the felt sense in the body. Most of the information is body up to the part of our brain that's detecting threat. Isn't that amazing? So if we're held and contracted, we don't feel safe and we get stuck in this loop. So what TRE does in part is because it releases tension through the body. So even if you're shaking in the legs, because we're all connected through something called fascia, connective tissue, you still release, say, in the shoulders to a little degree, you know, if you're shaking in the legs. Okay, so that goes from tension and contraction and places of fear and anxiety. The more we shake, the more accessible softness is, or expansion, fluidity throughout the body. And that says I'm safe. And our smoke detector starts to down-regulate and react more appropriately to what we're experiencing. And the other part of that is the hippocampus. So the hippocampus is like, I have an oversensitive smoke detector in my house. I personally use a tray. So this is like me waving the tray at the smoke detector, saying, don't be silly. It's just a little bit of toast, you're safe. The house isn't burning down. Now, when the stress response is on for any length of time, it produces cortisol. So adrenaline short term, cortisol longer term. And cortisol shrinks the hippocampus. So firstly, we've got an oversensitive alarm system, and we've got a hippocampus that shrinks. So it loses its ability to modulate, if you like, or speak to the amygdala. And the great news is it can regrow. So we switch off cortisol production, which shaking does. It gives the opportunity for the hippocampus to regrow. And also by meeting our body, sensation is like food for the hippocampus. So the more we can notice our body and be okay with what we're noticing, that's equally good. Does that make sense? So any questions? I kind of gone organically today, so I think I kind of could have been a little bit clearer by coming in with structure. I'm getting less and less structured, which I see as a good thing, but when I'm giving a talk on Zoom, maybe it's not. Yes, any questions? You can unmute or put them in chat for later.
Yeah, I've got a question. So imagine that you start doing TRE as an adult. So you've got a backlog of so it's kind of my question. I've been doing it sort of recently. I've been doing it like I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes every day.
Great.
And I really like it. And I'm just wondering if I'm ever going to run out of shakes.
They never run.
It's a kind of flippant question, but you know, yeah.
It never stops. The body's always got something to express. Yeah, it does tend to, and there is no sequence, Julie. It's kind of when I came into this work, it was like, if I think about that situation when I lost my father, if I think about that, can I resolve it? Can I start shaking from that place? So this is a really very much a body-based practice. So the more you shake, you will start to get different movements. And sometimes, although a lot of people don't experience emotion, as the body meets something, a held pattern, there can be an emotion or some memory or thoughts that come up. And if we're self-regulating, we can go slow with that. So we can uncouple from it. So by that, I mean, we're all human, so I'm sure we've all been in a situation where we're completely consumed by an emotion. That's all we can feel. We are that. If we become aware of something that's happening for us, that might be some emotion coming out, if we can notice where we are and that we're safe, and we can be with it in small chunks, we can become an observer. So yes, I'm really angry right now, and there's lots of different parts of me that are okay. I know my partner's downstairs, I've got good friends, I have, you know, whatever, all these resources that you practice, and there's a space that happens. So there's an uncoupling. And when we can uncouple in the present time and meet safety, that's the healing.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So we can work through stuff, but when it comes up is usually when there's safety. So when there's safety there, it allows us to meet the pain that often we've kind of, our survival strategies came in to avoid us feeling.
So if you're doing it as a self-practice, what's the kind of limit for time that you'd recommend? Or would you just...
Time-wise, maximum of 20... Sorry, I didn't let you finish.
Yeah, or do you just feel what feels okay?
I like both of those. Yeah, feel what feels okay. The more you can do that, that's the self-regulation.
Yeah.
So we generally advise take breaks, and you never need to shake for more than 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
With 1 or 2 breaks. But shaking for, once this reflex is online, I mean, if I just stand here, I sit here, I can just bring it on. So that's my body involuntarily doing what it needs to right now in this position. So there you go. I've just had a 3-second, 4-second shake. So 4 seconds, 20 minutes, it's fine. And there's always a rest period afterwards. We generally guide around half the time that you shake for. But it's about changing the nervous system. That's the healing, yeah? So the more we shake, even though we're not stressed, we're still switching, down regulating that amygdala, that smoke detector, and we're helping the hippocampus come back online. We're doing work, yeah. It's like if you want to get fit or if you want to lose weight, you can't just do it and then you're there, you're at your aim. It's like ongoing work for our nervous system. As I think we all know, we're all here and wanting to do some form of healing. So, you know, we know that it's a life journey and we can embrace it, as you so beautifully said. If we embrace it by being with our body and meeting something through self-care, then it's a very different experience. It's not like we're having to look after our nervous system or having to lose weight. It's because it comes from a different place within us. And the feedback that you get if you regularly shake will give you that energy to continue to do it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Great question. Wow, we're getting questions through and I'm really conscious of time. The cause of shaking immediately after a stressful event. Great, that's your body discharging. It's the same reflex. We've tended to be scared of it. A colleague of mine who works as an did work as an A&E nurse, when she discovered shaking, her mission was to, you know, educate people in the A&E department just to let people shake rather than try and stop it. So yeah, great. Thanks, Joanna. So I am going to, there is a video on YouTube of the exercises. This is now official. So it's been approved. There was lots of people putting bits up online. I'm going to just show you the exercises. I'm going to do that quite quickly. And then I don't have anyone, normally I would demonstrate with someone. So we'd go through the exercises. So a bit more talking today. And I normally like to do a little bit of us meeting the body, which again, we haven't done. So let's do all of it. And I'm going to show you me shaking because I don't have anyone here with me that can demonstrate. So I'm going to just show you the exercises, the sequence. I'm going to send you that afterwards. And the main thing here is I want you to notice your body. So we're going to end with that. The best thing is to do less rather than more until you get comfortable with it. Yeah. And obviously we can always do a one-to-one session and there's TRE groups. Once you've tremored a few times, you can join, and that's lovely. That's been proving so beneficial right now. It's just, you know, people meeting, this richness of sharing and shaking together. So keep the questions coming through, and if we don't get time to answer them, I'll make sure I do that through Hove StressBusters. And just, yeah, Eleanor, if there's any comments coming through about light, I'm going to spotlight myself here.
Okay.
And you might want to just pin my video. So if you go over to, you could either go on speaker view, or you can just hover over my face and click on the 3 dots there and pin the video. And that'll make me bigger so you can just see me. Okay, so
not sure what you mean. Sorry. I think if we put the speaker view,
yeah,
that's where you, because at the top right corner we all have gallery view and speaker view, and if we put speaker view and then also go to full screen, then we should all just see you.
Okay, great. So let's do that. So just to clarify, what you want showing, if you're on speaker view, what you want showing up there is gallery view. Yeah, you'll just have a big screen basically. So just click it until you get a big screen. Okay, so these are the exercises. So this is a very novel demonstration because I'm doing them quickly, just to show you. So the first one, which is really good to ground with, is just coming onto the outside edges of the feet and coming backwards. So this is really nice to bring in the breath. If you're going to practice this at home, I don't think the breath comes into the video. So keep it slow, yeah? So we're modeling slowness to the body and use the breath. And we do this about 6 or 7 times each side. And the invitation is to notice how that feels in the body. The second exercise we do is coming onto one leg, often using something for support, and just coming up onto the ball of the foot and the toes and down again. Again, keep it really slow. Nice fluid movement. And bring in the breath. So inhaling one way, exhaling the other. Okay, and then we swap over legs. And what we're doing here is putting some tension into the calf muscles, and we're doing that on a scale of 6 out of 10. So 0, you're not feeling any tension or fatigue. 10, you're feeling more of a burn. So this in itself is self-regulation. You're learning to listen to the body and stop. That essential pause, that space where we can change a behaviour, we can change something. So 6 out of 10 in terms of tension or fatigue. The third one, which you will see on the video, I'm going to give an alternative just for time and simplicity. We come into the quad muscles, so the thigh muscles, and we just do a squat. Yeah, we keep the weight in the heel as we do that, and we continue until the muscles reach a 6 out of 10 in the thighs. The fourth one is a nice forward bend. So I'll just show you this way. So we take the legs wide enough to feel some stretch in the inner thighs and maybe the backs of the legs. The knees are bent. So if I come to my side this way, see a nice deep bend in the knees. And then we just do 3 breaths in 4 different positions. So they look like this. First one's just hanging forward. And then we move the upper part of the body only to one side for 3, over to the other side for 3, and then reaching through the legs for 3. And that should give us a nice stretch. So that's exercise 4. Exercise 5 looks like this. So it's a pushing forward of the pelvis and a lengthening through the front of the body. So those of you with issues, it's not any form of back bend, really watch your back. I find it useful to tuck the tailbone under first, and that brings us into the psoas muscle, which is the muscle we're stretching. That's the big, this muscle, the big hip flexors. And often they're very, very tight. So from here, we tuck under, push forward. It's nice to lengthen through the body. Do 3 breaths here. And then we take one hip back, the other one forward, twist through the spine, and look over the shoulder. 3 breaths here. And then we go around the other way. So we're opening up. We're moving from this contraction response to one of openness and expansion. This is what David Baselli, the founder of the work, noted when he spent a lot of his life working in war zones, is that wherever he was, wherever in the world, this is what humans beings do when there's something shocking that happens, regardless of culture. And he also noticed that when children when they had the safety of an adult, when shells hit, for example, they tremored. Yeah, so safety, there's the shaking. To meet, that's the healing. So adults didn't shake, but he's kind of got this urge that there was something there was a vibration. And he got really curious as to how he could bring this on in adults as well as children. And he was very clever in inventing these 7 really simple exercises that, when people are self-regulating, can be very effective in bringing on this response, and also can be taught to hundreds and hundreds of people at a time. So we think of some of the natural disasters and the war trauma in the world. This is a great method that doesn't really cost anything. People, providers like myself, can go out, teach locals. Locals can then teach people in groups. And nowadays, we know we can do it online as well. So that's exercise.
See, there is just a very interesting comment or question here from Louise. Can you see it?
Yeah. So I practice TRE most days and find it very beneficial. Sometimes I wake during the night and find myself shaking. Is this okay? And do you know why it happens? So Louise, it's okay if it's okay with you. That's the self-regulation. If it's not okay with you, then just move. So a change of position often stops the shakes, and, you know, all the way through to standing up and walking. What is a good thing there is that your tremor mechanism sounds like it's online. So it's wanting to shake naturally. So great, it's doing that. Do you feel okay with it?
Yes, I do. I feel more emotional when I shake during the night than I do during the day. I don't know why that is, but I feel better afterwards and then go back to sleep quite quickly. Perfect.
Yeah, there's an okayness there. There's some emotion that's coming up, but you feel okay with it.
Yeah, I do.
And then you feel better afterwards.
Yeah, always.
Great. And isn't it lovely when your body starts doing this by itself, you know? Just
it is. Yeah, surreal at first, but...
So much knowledge. And it's a continuing journey as well.
Absolutely.
So I'm just going to show you the next couple of exercises. And can I go to past, Jelena? Or almost past? Okay, I'll get on with it. Okay, so the 6th one is it's like a chair, like sitting in a chair. And we basically put some really strong energy into that and tension into the thigh muscles. Some of you might have done this if you go skiing or for rehab for the knees. And we go to our 6 out of 10, and then we just come up a little bit. And often we stay here for 4 to 5 minutes, really to challenge the thighs. And the next exercise, which I'm going to show you a little bit of shaking as well. I'm just going to bring this forward. Sorry. Does that, yeah, I think that's okay. So we come into what is called the butterfly position in yoga with the legs. So the soles of the feet together. And we normally do quite a lot of grounding as we go through these exercises. I'm giving a rushed demonstration of something that should be very slow. So I just want you to get an idea of how simple these exercises are. So from here, we lift the pelvis just a couple of inches off the floor, and we hold it for a minute, and then we lower the pelvis down. And then from here, and I'm just going to turn so you can see me. From here, we start to bring the knees together and go really slow in increments. And at some point, there's a bit of a tremor that comes through. Now, I don't shake like this anymore, so I'm putting this on just to show you what to expect. And we just get used to the shaking, that's the main thing. We then bring the knees a little bit more, and we notice a change in the shakes, a bit like a biting point when you drive with the clutch and accelerator. And we keep doing this nice and gradually, just noticing different shakes. And we might change the position of the feet as well. So you can, this is like a general sort of shake that I might observe. Sometimes it can feel like it's really deep, but you can't see much of it on the surface. And then other shakes that you can experience might include, these are some of the common ones, and it's a journey. So it usually starts like this. You might get a bit of swaying, a bit of bouncing, flapping, contractions in the diaphragm. You might get some fluid movements through the spine, or some really big movements as the spine starts to loosen up. And you can get little movements, like the fingers might start going on one hand, or a little bit of a movement in the shoulder. You can get some quick motions here. Things can go quite quick. That's often a good time to slow down. And at any point, if you're not sure, you remember you move from that green light to amber, you just take a break, and this stops the tremors. So this is you closing the lid on the Coke bottle. And you just do some grounding here. So really come into the body. Body weight is good against the floor. And the good news here, you can just bring your legs back in when you feel present, and the shakes continue. So me shaking right now, this is real. So this is how I'm shaking after about 6 years. So this is very fascial. This is the bands of connective tissue coming in here. My whole body's getting involved. So we're moving from sort of fragmentation in the body to more fluidity and connection. There's a bit of a shake coming through the abdomen there as that pattern releases a little bit. And then it's going to go back. So it finds a place where it wants to release. It's really trying to get into my upper back here. And then there's some shaking. Oh, I'm getting hot. So things like getting hot is a good time to stop. I think for me it's because my room's really hot, and I know that we're running out of time. So a complete journey and a complete spectrum in the shakes, and it's different for everyone. People's bodies unfold and release in different ways at different times. So it's good not to compare your shakes. We call that tremor envy in the community. Okay, that was really rushed. So I've just demonstrated something that should be done slowly and normally with someone. But it hopefully gives you a taste of just of how simple the exercises are. Self-regulation is key. And the other principle that we work with is groundedness. So I think it might be really nice just to end as I plan to start. And Julie did a little bit of this. So let's continue that theme of meeting the body, which is exactly what we do with the shaking. But we can use our mind to do that as well, just to settle a little bit and come inwards. So let's do that for the next few minutes. So it's nice to close the eyes or take the gaze to the floor, if that feels comfortable. It's a good motto in life that there's nothing you actually need to do that you don't want to do. So, and then as you do this, just feel a sense of your tissues falling downwards. Maybe into your bottom where it meets the floor. Some of you might be lying down. Really getting a sense of that support. And maybe just see if you can relax the jaw. Imagine your facial muscles again just falling downwards. And the same with the shoulders. Just giving to gravity. And then let's bring in a few breaths and one way of breathing in TRE that can be quite useful is making the exhale a little bit longer. So just a couple of breaths, breathing in through the nose and out through the nose, if that's comfortable. And just making that exhale longer. Some of you might like to count. As you breathe in, just notice the expansion and the space in the body and the rib cage. As you breathe out, just coming down through the tissues again. And just noticing what sensations the body is asking to be acknowledged right now. There's nothing to do here, it's just noticing. They might be quite strong sensations. If you can find some feel better, feel good sensations, some sense of ease maybe. If that's hard, just coming into the feet, coming into that sense of where your body meets the chair. How is it to simply notice your internal landscape? So much information the body gives us. And this is the practice, self-regulating. How am I doing right now? And just gently opening the eyes. And just seeing if you can stay with that sense. You might be hard to be with that, but just see if you can stay with that sense of at least meeting where your body meets the floor. Another thing that's really, really useful is just to stroke yourself. So we call this fascial brushing. This gives us a sense of our boundary, our physical boundary. And it's nice to do to the body. Lovely thing to do to wake up with. There's a couple of things here that you might want to use. The main thing is that body awareness. How do I know I'm okay right now? What's happening in my body right now? The longer exhalation is proven to work. It's a guy called Stephen Porges, who's done polyvagal theory, one of his favourites. And the other thing, just using touch and movement here to bring a sense of boundary and self in. Okay, that felt really rushed. I'm sorry, it's a lot to talk about. And somehow it seems that time just disappears online. I don't know if anyone else is finding that. It's like we go into some kind of void. Time does weird things. So keep your questions. I know Yelena's going to finish off. If you want to keep your questions, then we can copy the chat and I can answer those via Yelena and Nico.
Yes, so there's also on Facebook at the moment, there's Facebook Live video in the Hove StressBusters group, so people can comment there afterwards as well. So just to finish off, so I might as well share the screen. Where is the first? Right, so I have, at the start of the event, I have actually put the PDF of tonight's program online. So it's basically information about the speakers this evening and links to their websites. Upcoming events. So at the moment, none of our workshops are going on, although we are already considering doing some of them online. But our next talking demonstration evening is on the 3rd of June, and we will be exploring family constellations. And that we already mentioned this evening, the family constellations approach, because Julie is also a facilitator. And we'll also be doing a really amazing Unleash Your Voice work with Adrienne Thomas. She's not with us tonight, but it's incredible work. So it will be a very, very hands-on, very practical. It's the way of stimulating our energy centers and balancing our body through producing voices is definitely, I promise you, it has nothing to do with the talent for singing. So don't let that put you off. It's just very, very powerful expressive work. So also in the program, you have information about the time-limited special offers from Debbie and Julie. And information about StressBusters card, obviously linked to our website, social media. Join us, join the Facebook group. Also, you can follow, like and follow our page on Facebook, and so on. So yes, this is all for tonight. So let me stop sharing. It was thank you both, Julie and Debbie, for really engaging talks, very relevant to all of us. So if anyone else has any comments, so I can't find my chat window, but yeah, so feel free to unmute yourself or message us or comment in the Facebook group. So if no one wants to say anything, oh, there is yeah, comment from Catherine. Thank you, Catherine, for being there, for joining us. Hope to see you again soon. And Zarana. So lovely to see you all, and thank you, and have a good lockdown. Is that an expression? Well, we can't hear you, Debbie. You have to. Yeah.
If I wanted to get the exercises to people, how do I do that? Can they stay on and I can just put something in chat?
Yes, yes, you can do that.
Okay.
So you can do that. So I'll keep the event open for a while. You can stay on for a few more minutes, actually, if anyone wants to chat or ask Julie and Debbie questions. Shall we do that, actually? So if anyone wants to stay on for a few minutes.
I'll just say that you know, it was fascinating. It was all fascinating, Julie's and then Debbie's, and I just feel I'm so eager to, you know, grasp something new, something extra to add to what I do myself anyway, and see how it all relates, and then just kind of grab hold of something slightly different, and I might be able to explore. Yeah, it's great.
Thank you.
So yeah, people should be, somebody just asked me for a program again, so I've just sent it to everyone in the chat. You should have it there.
Eleanor, is it okay? Sorry, Yelena, can I just put my email here if anyone's got any questions?
Yes, of course. I mean, it's in the program anyway.
Okay.
Yeah. So Masha saying thank you. Thanks for joining us. So yeah, there is the TRE exercise link. Debbie just sent it. So yeah.
So you'll need to copy that before we go, because the chat will go with us.
Yes. Okay. Shall I post that in the group? Do you want to post the link in the Facebook group, Debbie?
Yeah, why not?
The link can go actually into newsletter, so people can actually read the newsletter and follow the link.
Oh yes, I forgot to mention. I think it might be in the newsletter, in the program. But yes, you can subscribe to our newsletter. So the videos from tonight will be on YouTube. Yeah, very important thing I forgot to mention. So you will be able, if you want to hear either of the two talks, you can do it on YouTube in a few days' time. And if you're not already subscribed to our mailing list, there is the link, I think, in the program document. So you can, or on Facebook page, you can go to our Facebook page. I think there is also a subscribe link on our website. So we send all the relevant information, 2 mail shots per month, usually, well, information related to the talks, but also a variety of sort of relevant articles and links. So yes, really.
Lovely, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to be with you all this evening.
Yeah, lovely to see you all. Good night, everyone. Take care. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.